Hello, how's it going, folks? Welcome to another stream. Today we'll be playing around with Hangfire, I think. Let me just do the usual check to be sure the sound is working. Yep, it's working. Nice. So, in the past streams I've been preparing stuff for the series, but today I wanted to play a bit with Hangfire. Don't know if you know about it, but Hangfire is a nice tool to implement background jobs and scheduled jobs, recurrent and all of that. And I'm thinking about using it for a project. So, and I don't use it, I haven't used it for a while. So I was thinking about making a quick sample to play around a bit with it, to remember the things and to try out some things I'm not sure I can do with it. So maybe interesting to try it. So let me just show you here in case you have interest. So Hangfire, you can read about it at hangfire.io. The thing I'm most interested for this specific case that I'll be using are the fire and forget jobs and probably the recurring jobs, because what I want to do is to have an API that receives requests, then sends some work to be done asynchronously, and then when it's done, notify the caller. And probably also want some recurring jobs just to be sure that things are working as expected, and if not, clean up things, send notifications, stuff like that. So let's play around with it a bit. Just create a new SLN. Create an API and a worker. So I'll split things up. We could do everything in the same process, but I'll split it up to try some things, and this is maybe interesting to be a part, because if the worker is what is going to spend more time working and the API just queues things for the worker to pick up, it probably makes sense for us to scale things independently. So probably if we have more work to do, we can create more workers, and the API, because it doesn't do a lot, can just be one or two instances. API .NET new web. Yes, I could do this in the IDE, but I'm annoying. Okay, let me open Rider. Okay, so let's start by the worker. Let me install. So Hangfire, it's just a NuGet package we can install. And I'll also install Postgres because I'll use it as a database in this case. So we can use Hangfire without a database, but if the server goes down, we'll lose the track of the jobs that were queued. So by using a database, we keep it. Okay. It even shows us what we need to do. Okay. Let me install it here as well. Done? Okay. So let's go to the startup. You can start by the startup of the API. Services. Adding fire. Want Postgres. We want the connection string. I never remember the connection string. So I'll go to one of my projects to grab a connection string. Okay, so this is right. Just change this to Hangfire sample. I already created the database over here created this database. Otherwise it would throw an error. Okay, so one question I have is if I can host the dashboard, because Hangfire has a dashboard. This is not very fast. Okay, we'll see it in work, in action. But the Hangfire has a dashboard that we can see the status of the jobs that we start. So endpoints.map Hangfire dashboard. And let's create something here. Queue. Duration. And want dot where are they? Route values. So I'm doing this just not to, instead of creating a controller just for this. And then, and what I'm, forget, I was complicating things. Map post. I was doing that because I wanted to maybe put a task delay, but let's keep it simpler for now. So in queue, let's go to the docs, background job, let's just create over here a library, which is a bit unneeded, but I'll just create an interface for the handler of the job. Which will have and I'll get like a job ID just because. In fact, let me put this here, ID. Context dot request not values. Okay. So what I want to do now is this. Let me add a reference to that to the library. So to enqueue a job, we can use a lambda, but we need to tell it, if I don't want to put the code in there directly like this is, we need to tell it what to call, and we want I handle job, and then I think I can do this exactly, and I can give it the job ID. Because we don't have a reference to something that implements it here, we can just say this, and Hangfire will serialize the thing, and then when a worker picks it up, it just needs to have that thing in there. So let's see how that goes. So this should be all that we need. for this. So without implementing the worker, let's see how this goes. I'm remembering I forgot to put this bigger. Just in case some people are looking in the smaller screen. So what did I break? Database Hangfire sample does not exist. Really? You mean I didn't run this? I didn't. Okay. How about now? Okay. Okay, so let's enqueue and an ID 1, 2, 3, and let's send it. Okay. Where's the dashboard? I don't remember. Let me just restart this. Let's see if the dashboard is up. It is. Okay, so we have one job queued. But we have no servers, so it stays there until we do it. Nice. So now we can go over here and implement the rest. So app use Hangfire server, exactly. And over here, services, Hangfire server. Hang on. Options, Postgres, no Postgres. Okay. So it should be services.add Hangfire. It's a bit weird, we need to call two things. Options, Postgres. No. Have you used Hangfire, Nun? Of course, this is not the way to configure these things, but it's just a sample. I'm trying out. I already used it in the past, but it was some time ago. So I'm going to play a bit, because I think I'll be using it in a project, maybe. So, Postgres, using Wire server. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, let me just go to properties, launch settings, and change the ports, otherwise it'll blow up because we are working on the same thing. And now we need to implement this high handle job. Yeah, there are some alternatives. There's Hangfire, there's Quartz. One of these days I learned about Fluent Scheduler. There are others, but I think Hangfire is the most popular one. What I was going to do was implement class handle job. Missing the reference. Oh, yeah. I never used Quartz. I don't know if Quartz only works for recurring jobs. Never tried it, but in this case, it's not really what I want. I want background jobs, and also recurrent, but okay. So handle async. What I want to do. I'll probably just log a logger handle. Because this is a super complex demo, and I'll just put await task dot delay like 5 seconds because reasons, just to simulate the task taking a while. Okay, so let's put this in startup. I have no idea if we need to configure something for Hangfire to use dependency injection or if it's magic. So let's hope it's magic. And we'll add per scoped. So it like this, and no, the job is good, the API is good, so let's start the worker. Did I forget something? No, it started. Okay, it's logging, so it worked. Let's go to the dashboard. Servers, 2 servers. How? It's a kind of magic. Now I'm lost. How does it have 2 servers? The unicorns? What unicorns? For starting at the first time? We should. Although it's not perfect because it says we have 2 servers and we have 1 server. Okay, so no jobs because this was succeeded. So latency was 7 minutes because it was the time we took to implement the worker. Not bad. But then took 5 seconds. Okay, so dependency injection worked at the first try, which is nice. So we have finishing handle async. Okay, so if some of you in the stream or someone looking at the YouTube archive that I'll put there later, we implemented this thing fast. In half an hour we had Hangfire working with the database, with the jobs persisted in the database. Let's see what is there in the database, just for curiosity. And file sample localhost user pass good. We just delete this one. Shouldn't I be able to see some tables? Maybe not. I would expect something to be in there. Okay, don't care. It was just to see what was in there, but I'll see it later. The dashboard keeps state database. We can not have database, but then if the server goes down, we'll lose the jobs, né? So for the recurrent jobs, it might not be that problematic because when it started, it would register the recurring jobs again. But because we also want to enqueue jobs, like I'm doing here, or where is it? Here. I'm just enqueuing the job. It needs to use a database. And not only that, if you noticed, we have 2 separate applications. So it needs to use a database for this to work. So in this case, the API is just getting the request and putting it in queuing, which is basically writing to the database. And then somewhere the server in Hangfire's code is taking care of, checking for jobs to do. So what I wanted to try, besides getting this to work, I wanted to try something, which was, imagine that we get multiple requests. For instance, we get the post, we get the request with the job ID, and for some reason, network or whatever, the response never reaches the client. So the client retries, and it will retry with the same job ID. So I was thinking if we always need to put something ourselves in the database and check when handling the job, or if maybe there's a way for us to force the job ID instead of Hangfire, because Hangfire I think generates a job ID. If we go to the dashboard, I'm pretty sure we can see it. Succeeded. So job ID 1. So it created one. But I was thinking more in terms of if we want to make the requests idempotent, so the client sends one and then retries because something went wrong. We don't want to run the same job again. At the end of the day, we can do it ourselves by writing that ID in the databases ourselves and checking. But I was thinking if we can mess around with Hangfire and make it do it for us. I'm not sure. Because when I was looking, this NQ doesn't receive any ID. So I don't know if we can. Maybe we can't. Method call. Okay. So there's a delete. We can delete the job ID, but requeue. But you mean you had the tables? You created the tables yourselves, or Quartz did that? Because the thing is, Hangfire does have that table. I don't know why it wasn't showing over here in DataGrip. I have no idea. But I don't use DataGrip a lot. Maybe it's... don't know. I was going to say maybe it's the user, but it doesn't make sense to be the user. But I would expect for it to be here. Don't know why it doesn't show up, but for sure there are tables in there. And they have the job ID and all of that. But I didn't want to go to the Hangfire database directly. It's a bit too much. We can, of course, but... Okay. So, but what I was saying is I can just create a table myself, put there a job, and then if it comes along another one, I can just try to insert. If it's already there, then it will blow up with a key already exists stuff. We can do that manually ourselves. But if I could use something from Hangfire to do it for us, it would be cool. But the thing is, I can only see job IDs, to delete, to requeue, but I didn't want to requeue. I just wanted to ensure that it's not already there. But if it can't receive an ID never in the enqueue method, can't. It's not terrible. we can achieve it. I just wanted to trick Hangfire to work more for us. Hangfire Postgres, that's what I'm using, yes. Where you get, yeah, Hangfire and used Postgres. Let me just check one thing. I'm lost. Yeah. Okay, so I didn't remember, but Hangfire returns the actual job ID. I shouldn't have called this job ID, but okay. So this is the actual ID. Go to returns the unique identifier of the background job. It does return it, but doesn't allow me to force one. Okay. I was probably asking too much, but it was worth a try. So I'm not going to do it today, but probably what I would do is just like we talked, create a table, write the information about the job that we are queuing. Probably the job wouldn't be just a post with job ID. We would have more information in the payload of the post, and then put that in the table and read it in the background job handler. So this job ID, we just check the implementation. We start the worker. A lot of jobs. Let's see. I can send a lot of jobs and processing. It takes 5 seconds because of the await stuff. Four servers. Okay. We can probably give it a server name. Let's go to the options here. The thing that's weird to me is it registering 2 workers when it's just one. I'm probably misconfiguring something, but don't know what. Where does this one come from? So these are dead. Eventually this heartbeat will also say that it is dead. But it's annoying me that they are too. And I don't know why. Life cycle? Of what? It's that we are not configuring anything. We just call the extension method for Hangfire. We're not putting that there anything from ourselves. If it weren't for before we had this working, when we just had the API, nothing was there. So it's not the API that's showing up there. It's when we start the worker that two show up at the same time. Don't know why. Let's ask the internet. No, what I was looking for. How do you call servers? But this is from pre-ASP.NET Core. Let me see one thing, because Hangfire, it showed that txt when we installed it. Let me reinstall just to see if it shows. Adding Fire server, using Fire dashboard. Okay, so I should not be calling that. This is not needed, apparently. So let's start API. What the hell, Noon? Reading the docs? We don't do that. We try until it works. Okay, now we're talking. Now it shows 2 because this went down. Stack Overflow, it's kinda. It's a raging version of docs. Where people ask questions and then some rage that the question is stupid and stuff like that. But yeah, it's almost like that. But okay, it's solved. So that was the problem. I was calling that, and apparently just because we added it to the... Just by adding it here, it works. Which makes sense, but because that method appeared there, I went ahead and added it. I'm pretty sure this... yeah. Yeah, it uses that IO state service and puts there the background, which makes sense. So just by doing that, everything works. I was an idiot by putting that here. Okay, so it's solved. That other thing that I wanted doesn't work, but not too serious. Can I set the port? Maybe not. Another thing that I wanted to see is, can I pass a cancellation token Hangfire enqueue cancellation token? So let's see. I'll go to the handle and I'll add cancellation token. Let's make it 10 seconds. Yes, now it doesn't implement. I want to see if we can cancel a job. So let's see, API. And we can see here in the logs that servers that are timed out go away. Cool. So let's see here. So this is the new one. Let's say put where did I put that? Okay, let's make a request. Queued. Processing. Did this cancel it? Let me just put more time, so I have time to send it, to cancel the request. Sending the request. Let's try delete. Did it cancel? Nope. So deleting a job doesn't cancel it. Okay. Let's try another one. That's disappointing. Is there a way to cancel the job? Maybe not through the dashboard. Maybe that's the problem. We just make a change to the API part and we'll return context.response. Sure, let's see. Shutdown request. Job performance was aborted. Yes. So that was what I was expecting. So let's try this. In the I'll return thank you job here, and let's add endpoint, delete. Let me change this to Q. and we'll do background job, delete. Just write this to the response. It has to be include ID. Good idea too. That's the thing that's annoying me. But we can take care of this. If when we insert in the database, probably we just put the ID of that this returns as well. The thing is, we could do without this part. And for instance, in the response, return this. But that's not good because it doesn't make the request idempotent. Because if the client retries, without providing an ID, we don't know that it's a retry. We just will assume that it's another thing. So we'll enqueue it again, even though it's different. So that's why I wanted to have a job ID like this. So if we were implementing this for real, not just this part, we would probably, for the delete, use the job ID and then go to the database and see to what Hangfire ID that job ID matches. But because we're just playing around, maybe add a comment here. Database. Probably this would be the better approach, but I won't do it right now because we're just playing around with things. I just want to see this cancelled. So let's restart the API. Put the dashboard in the back and this here. Oh, I changed the name. Q35 delete. True, it deleted. The job was deleted. And the worker. The worker didn't blow up. Maybe I'm misusing the cancellation token. Handle jobs, cancellation token. Wait, task delay, cancellation token. No, the thing is it's not logging. It's probably that. But it's strange. The cancellation token none is like that. If we go to the docs, yes, I went to the docs. That cancellation token is put on the caller, but the thing is, that's not what is passed to it. So, because when we call, it's not executed immediately. It is serialized to the database, so the worker on the other process runs it. So what I'm assuming is that Hangfire will inject its own cancellation token. Let's see one thing. Let's put a log. I don't never really remember what's the exception that this throws. Operation cancelled exception. Just because of reasons. Because now that I'm looking at it, if you notice, we have a starting handle async, but we don't have the finishing. So it seems that as it's cancelled, but just that the logs, just that it's not being logged. So it's the usual problem between the chair and the computer. So if I restart the worker, let's do it again. Started the worker. If we go back here, the sun is killing me. These dogs should have dark mode. We need dark mode. Okay, so let's send it another request. Post Q3 send. And now if we go to the processing, so let's delete deleted. And it's cancelled. Yep, it works. So it just wasn't showing the information that it was cancelled, but it was cancelled. Okay, so this is how it works for the cancellation. But did you understand, Nuno, why this cancellation token none doesn't matter? So this we don't care. Not relevant for the demo. In fact, let me do one thing. This is not how we do it, how we should do it, but I just want to static concurrent dictionary string job ID map. Another update. Job ID include ID. What? That's the signature. So this. Yeah, I'm going to stop. I'm overcomplicating a simple demo for no good reason. Okay, I think that's it. That's just what I wanted to test. I wanted to see if I could force the job ID. Apparently not. Can I pass the job ID to itself? That's also an interesting question. The hell? Ah, okay. It's not what I wanted, but it's nice to have this information. So we could have something here. Okay, if we want information about the job that is running, we just use this perform context. Okay. It's not the prettiest thing, I think, because then our code is coupled with this, but it's not terrible. And the cancellation token is also here. Okay. It's just to see. Anyone wants to test something here before I close up? If you have some question about Hangfire that even if I don't know, we can try out. I only played with the enqueued part because the recurrent is, I don't know, it's easier. Or not easier, but different. I just wanted to try to force these kinds of things through enqueue. Apparently can't. But if anyone wants to try something specific, let me know. Otherwise we'll be closing in a bit, because I don't remember anything else to do here. My questions are answered. The database used by the dashboard. Let's try to figure out. Do you have any idea how to do it here? Because I was really expecting this to be here. In fact, let me I'll remove that part. Let's try it again. User pass. It's good. So it doesn't show up here because of reasons. And I don't know enough about PostgreSQL to know what to look for. Let's see. Postgres list schemas. Okay, select from Hangfire Postgres list tables. What? This doesn't seem right. Figured. So Hangfire schema as table. Select from Hangfire dot job. I don't know if it's permission things or data grip or whatever, but the things are here, it's just not being shown in data grip. So what was your question, Nun? We can inspect it this way. So we are looking at the job table, which has the jobs. Succeeded, deleted stuff. And the database isn't just used by the dashboard. It's the queues live inside the database, the recurring jobs. Yeah, I think so. It needs to synchronize because I'm just using one server. But imagine if you had 2 or 3 servers and had a recurring job, we wouldn't want for that job to be running on all the servers at the same time. So it uses the database to store things, to synchronize, to be sure that it only runs on one thing, and so on. So everything is in there, and there's probably a good amount of polling going on, as it's not really a queue or something like that. It's probably polling on the tables to see when there's work to do. So you didn't have any specific thing about the tables? Let me just see the tables. Job server, job parameter, job queue. Yeah, we just we just look at the basics, but we can, for instance, define queues, and so each worker server, imagine we have 5 servers, we could have 3 processing one queue and the other 2 processing another queue. I think we can have, how's it called, levels of, missing the word, when one thing is more important than the other. Now the word is missing. We can have a lot of things. Hangfire does a lot. I was just looking for the basics. Let me just see what is inside the job parameter. I like that it's red. That data group doesn't know it, but if we query it, it works. Exactly. Priority, that's the word. Finally. Job parameter, current culture. Why? Why is this a parameter? Okay. What else do we have here? Job server. The server probably has the information of the servers. So the queues that I was talking about are here, just default because I didn't put anything. The heartbeat, information stuff. Okay. Okay, but that's all. If no one has anything they want to try in Hangfire, that's it for, I think that's it for today. Oh, the light. We need dark all the things. Okay, maybe I'll put this in GitHub, although it's not very useful. We didn't do anything. Yeah, maybe I won't put in GitHub. If it was a more interesting sample, maybe, but maybe it's not worth it. I intend to eventually use Hangfire in the series, Hangfire or another alternative, but because it hasn't come up yet, and I wanted to try out some things. Of course, hard-coded connection string, but do you do samples with everything perfect? Not only is a hard-coded connection string, but the user is user and the password is pass. It's awesome. But okay, I'm considering using it in a project. So I wanted to try a couple of things. Namely this part, but okay. But eventually we'll use it in the series and we'll have a better sample, and in that scenario I'll put it in GitHub. But this one I don't think it's worth it. Okay, I think I'll wrap up for today if there are no other questions or suggestions. I'll wrap it up. All good? I never know the delay between when I ask the question and people see it to respond. Okay. Thanks, Noon. Have a great weekend, everyone. See yous.